do your best. All right, y'all, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. So this is a welcome to permanent supportive housing and the art of service through compassion. We're going to talk about the impacts of permanent supportive housing in communities with lessons from our experiences in Northeast Portland and the importance of wraparound services for participants. Some of the things I think that we skip over is the importance of being mindful about stability, what stability really looks like. This is the City of Bridges, and we are talking about bridging the gap between housing and need that causes people to be unstable. So I'm Leora Beverly. I am the Permanent Supportive Housing Program Manager with the Urban League of Portland. This is Lonnie Silva. He is the Assistant Program Manager, and Caprice Howard is our Peer Support Specialist. Thank you. So if you're here, I left it blank because I wanted you to see the picture. If you're here on purpose. I believe that during the pandemic, we talk about the pandemic a lot, but you were probably called, probably summoned, probably stirred to do something more than just what you were already doing. Many of us became teachers. We became mathematicians. I don't know, not me. I didn't become that. Didn't become that. I mean, we became creators. We became very, very innovative. And these were things we probably didn't even know were dormant in us, these gifts. But we all, I think, all the people in this room, we were probably stirred to compassion to do more for our city. So if you're here, I welcome you and I thank you for being here. You're an important piece to the puzzle. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'm Caprice, and again, thank you for being here. This is our land and labor acknowledgement. Thank you again for being here. Today, we celebrate ongoing efforts to build justice across Oregon. We have decided to begin today's program with the labor acknowledgement. We find it vital to honor visionaries, builders, architects, artists, and countless of others, past, present, and those to come along to do this work. With that being said, we will begin this morning with a labor acknowledgement written by Dr. Tara T.J. Stewart, an assistant professor at a higher education and student affairs of Iowa State University. We must acknowledge that much of what we know of this country today, including its culture, economic growth, and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible for the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants who suffered horror of the transatlantic trafficking and their people, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We are indebted to the labor and their sacrifice, and we must acknowledge the tremors that the violence throughout the generations and the resulting impact that can still be felt and witnessed today. Let's acknowledge the folks who cannot work for many reasons and who do not want to, and what that means for an exploitative labor-obsessed society. I think about folks who worked right up until the very end of their life with no rest. I think of folks who labor is questioned, judged, criminalized, and unfairly legislated. Let's acknowledge unions who labored for better pay, better benefits, and safer working conditions for many. I think of folks who are 1 to 3 paychecks away from being homeless and hungry, and yet they labor every day and have for a long time. If we cannot collectively begin to acknowledge the historical labor of that has allowed our society to get and be where it is today, then we will continue to struggle and reconcile the red dress, those histories and legacies. As we conclude this labor acknowledgement, I would like to ask everyone here to acknowledge and also commit to the building justice for all across Oregon and Southwest Washington.
So one of the questions is, what is permanent supportive housing? By definition, permanent supportive housing is permanent housing in which housing assistance, long-term leasing or rental assistance, and supportive services are provided to assist households with at least one member, adult or child, with a disability in achieving housing stability. We believe that permanent supportive housing is far beyond handing someone keys and a sheet of paper with a list of resources. Permanent supportive housing is retrieving the lost and the broken and guiding them into a place of shelter and nursing people back to health with the aid of community resources and hours of intensive support that oftentimes looks different than just a food box. Thank you.
I don't know, they kind of heard me. I've been at a few of these presentations these past couple of days, and yeah, I think it's good to I guess get some energy flowing, get some thoughts going, ideas going. So for this portion, the mental health and addictions crisis in Oregon, I think there's 7 tables here, and each table has a notebook and some pens in front of you all. Definitely utilize the pens and the notebooks, because I'll be giving each one of you all 5 minutes to come up with at least one solution for each of the 4 problems that I'm going to present. But I'm going to present each problem one slide at a time. Afterwards, I'll show some solutions or possible solutions to the problem that's presented. So once you all come up with at least one idea after 5 minutes, I'll go to each table and have you, well, one spokesperson, present the idea or solution you all came up with. Okay?
So you need a writer and you need a spokesperson. So one person take the notes while y'all all put in together. So each person has to, y'all better get to know your neighbors. Okay, you got 5 minutes.
Right. Okay. So the first problem is there are not enough outpatient mental health therapists and residential mental health services in the state of Oregon for youth ages 18 and younger. This is especially true for youth who are houseless, already living with a serious mental illness, living with a developmental disability, or have experienced abuse, neglect, or some combination of all of them. So take 5 minutes at each of your tables to come up with at least one solution for this problem. Two and a half minutes. One left. Hey, time. Okay, we've reached the 5 minute mark. All right. Okay, so we're gonna start at the back here. The lovely Caprice has the mic, and whoever in the back wants to begin can go ahead.
Like this table. You guys have a spokesperson? Well, everyone says you.
Okay. Well, like I'm sure all the other tables, we talked about a lot of things, but mainly increasing training programs for mental health professionals and increasing pay. But recognizing that, we need training programs where people are not graduating with massive debt, and then they can't afford to take a job in the field. And we also need programs that are recruiting people who represent the community that needs the services.
Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I think, no, um, I think this is going to be a theme, but student loan forgiveness at a state or local level for this career field, as incentivizing more folks to come into this career field. You do a couple years working for a nonprofit, or you stay within the state, and at the end of it, the state reimburses your loans much easier than the 10 years right now, or some of the existing programs that are out there. We also talked about no shortage of interest in MSW programs like at Portland State, but like, where's the bottleneck in actually getting folks out into the field where they're needed, especially with peer-to-peer relationships and the school systems providing more support. So anything else, team, that we wanted to add?
Okay, so I just wanted to share something that I'm involved in that addresses actually all of these issues, because there aren't enough mental health resources for these youth. So it's called Systems of Care, and it's a committee that addresses local issues for mental health and houseless and people with disabilities. And my son access mental health services. So I was able to hear about this. So every county should be able to have a systems of care committee, and it's often led by the CCO. So in Tillamook County, that would be Care Oregon. And I just wanted to share that because there are so many different community partners that are on that address that locally. If we cannot address those barriers locally for this subset of people, we have to take that issue to the state. We are required to be able to do that. And so if it's not solved there, then it goes to legislation. So we're able to actually solve at least problem solve a lot of these issues and get somebody connected to be able to help with that. So I would highly encourage everybody to look into systems of care. And if you're not able to go to those meetings, maybe you could talk to families or people that you are connected with. There's actually a monthly stipend, at least in Tillamook County. So that's kind of nice to be able to have that incentive. And they do want to be able to actually have youth on the committees as well, for them to be able to share their experience.
Thank you. This table?
Hi, outpatient mental health, abuse, neglect, mental illness are issues. More therapists and therapist certification, cut the red tape, less layers, Congress lobbying, and more funding. Incorporate therapy within family units, nutrition education, better reporting within school systems, more financial education for a stable family. It starts at home. A stable home is a stable mind.
Well, I'm stealing all of these ideas, all of them. Thank you.
All right, we talked about some of the themes have been touched on already, but in large part leaning into partnerships with schools, Parks and Rec, to either offer after-school programs and peer support groups during the school day. We talked about leading to parent engagement, to which I wanted to mention POIC, Rosemary Anderson High School, has a pilot program. I wish I could speak to it more eloquently than I can, but they are working to train family members, I believe of their students primarily, to actually help with providing mental health care. And so there's a stipend associated with that and training education portion as well. So figuring out how to bolster programs like that and grow those opportunities. And then finally, we talked about allowing trained interns to work under other licensed professionals to kind of expand the offerings and the services.
Thank you. That was lovely. Go to this table.
Hello, my name is Andrea, and I am a resident services coordinator at Mamuk Tokati. And in one of my previous lives, I was a QMHA working for NARA. And what I did was I supported parent support groups for parents who were getting their kids back, working on doing all the things the courts were required for them to get their children out of foster care and returned home. And so working under a QMHP, who was a licensed therapist or counselor, therapist with all the right credentials to be a QMHP, I was able to, NARA was able to hire me as a QMHA and help facilitate these classes. They put me through some pretty, some trainings, and I was able to do that. And when we had a higher needed more, we were able to hire more QMHAs, more people, more staff, and have them go through the certification to be a QMHA. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because yesterday in resident services, it was brought in the 101, resident services 101, it was brought up that sitting down as a resident services coordinator and helping somebody fill out their application, helping them fill out a work order request for a repair on their apartment, helping them figure out what words they want to put to address what discrepancy they have with a neighbor, the mediation, all of that would be billable increments if there was a QMHP overseeing the work I'm doing and any other person who was a QMHA. Those are billable hours through OHP. So there's a funding opportunity. And so my role right now in the community, when I take off my NAIA and my resident services coordinator hat, is I'm an auntie. I have so many brothers and sisters and so many cousins that I am a mentor, and I'm coaching all my own family members and other community members. And so I'm really interested to find out about your families as supports, how they can get stipends, because I'd love some of my other family members to step up. But I also recognize they need the training support to do so. And then Lee, I'm gonna pass this to him because he reminded me of a program back in the day, Portland Industry Council, PIC. A private industry council. I was a part of that. That helped me stay away from gangs when I was a teenager. They gave us jobs with good wages for the summer to behave ourselves. And I'm gonna pass it to Lee because I had forgotten about that. I brought it to my tears.
Yeah, I was mentioning that during the 90s, I worked and did summer food programs, and we collaborated with Private Industry Council, which the acronym was PIC, and they supplied summer jobs to children, to teenagers. And isolation is huge in mental illness. People are left alone. We're not meant to be alone. So at that time, you would have counselors that there are people that they could speak to, but we see now there's no jobs. I see around a lot of the buildings that I'm a assistant property manager and a resident service coordinator, 14-year-olds that are all just by themselves, just running around, nothing to do. And so if we're able to get some kind of service that would keep them so that they can buy shoes when it's time to go back to school, they can feel good about themselves, they can converse with their, friends that are working with them, then we are keeping an eye at the same time and, able to show that they're cared about, not being thrown away.
Hello, my name is Arlita. I also wanted to piggyback off of the statements that were just made regarding the PIC program, and there was also another program called the GIFT program for gang inflicted female teens, and I was a part of that growing up. They offered me a position in an internship to work for the city of Portland in the Bureau of Housing and Community Development. And it just so happens 29 years later, yesterday, I see one of the ladies that I worked with. She was doing the presentation during the lunch, and it was just so amazing. I just was like so happy to see her. But yes, we do need more programs like that. And we were at this table talking about internships and offering programs, more funding so that they can get their students at the end of their courses to go into these positions and just internship with the young people. Also like a mobile van maybe to offer therapy to kids that are on the street, because when we were doing a parade, we met a lot of teens that were downtown in the park area that were comfortable in the position they were in because they made themselves feel safe and their environment was safe to them. So if we could get people to go into those type of surroundings to help them out a little bit better, I think that that would be a great opportunity for them. And I think that's it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I mean, there's obviously a wealth of knowledge here in this room alone. So that's another good reason to make this a bit more interactive. So if we could go ahead to problem number 2. Yep. Oh, well, you all came up with some good solutions, but and also I want to be mindful of time too. But some good problems though. And I'm sure you all got knowledge on, because there's going to be 4 of them. All right, number 2 is there has been a major increase in overdose deaths from alcohol, opiates, and methamphetamine since the COVID-19 pandemic. 3 people die each day in Oregon from these overdoses. So again, take some time, 5 minutes, and come up with at least one solution, just like you all did for problem number 1. 2 minutes remaining, 2 minutes. One minute left, 1 minute. Okay, we're at time. All right, 5 minutes is up. All right. So this time around, all right. Clap if you can hear me. Okay. Thank you. This time around, we'll go with 3 tables to for the sake of time. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, safe use house, support groups, holistic activities, sports, yoga, music, gardening, support groups. Oh, I already said that. Coping mechanisms, boundaries, and good friendship.
Who's burning back here?
Okay, so we had talked a little bit about reaching out or some of the programs because in the work we're doing with resident services, we're already seeing some of this and we're reaching out with collaborative groups. One of them that was mentioned was the TIF or TIP program, trauma intervention program. And then 2 people at the table already were like, we know them. We have their names. We have their, so we're going to collaborate. So collaborating with neighborhood groups. In one of the other sessions, one of the participants said that there's been overdoses in her child's high school. And so the high school students have coordinated and they're opening at the school, Lincoln High School, sometime in October to invite the community in. And the high school students are going to lead an awareness prevention campaign to talk to the community. And then they're going to do another one where the parents and community can, facilitate it again. But having the youth empowered to speak on the topic is a big thing. But also where I work, what we know is culture heals. Culture heals. And so some people might be familiar with Gabor Mate, where he talks about that isolation or casting people out and shunning them is not the way to help them through it. It's by taking those moments and bringing them in. And that's where we hit it with cultural activities. So right from the first day I started talking to people about their tribe, talk to them about their heritage and bringing in the history and making them know that they have roots. And then it's their job to keep growing. So that's that.
Thank you. One more.
I just want to speak because this part wasn't mentioned. So Narcan, right? Being able to have that on your person or, I work for at an affordable housing complex, and I made sure to be able to have that in the office and for the managers there to be able to know that that's there. I carried on my person then and in my truck, but I had to go to community resources to be able to get that. So what I think what was mentioned here was, of course, checking your bias and doing, harm reduction. I think a part of that harm reduction is to be able to be proactive for that. So what we would love to see is, and I thought about, remember the beginning of COVID when you could like request that, the test? Wouldn't it be nice if we could request to have Narcan? But again, I'm just suggesting that you look at your local resources and opportunities to be able to have that. One of the things that's really cool on one of them that I got was a QR code that tells you how to use that. I wouldn't have known how to do that had I not had that. So just encourage you to look into that. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's what we did at the Urban League as well. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna speed it up a little bit more because some of the responses touched upon problem number 3. We're gonna speed it up to problem number 4. Oh, it's right there. Okay, never mind. All right. Yeah, so problem number 4. People living with the most serious and persistent mental illnesses are constantly cycling between psychiatric hospitals, jails, prisons, medical hospitals. There's a difference between those 2 hospitals, and houselessness. So again, take 5 minutes where you all are at and come up with at least one solution for this problem. 2.5 minutes remaining, 2.5 minutes. One minute remaining, 1 minute. Okay, time. All right. Yeah, clap if you can hear me. Okay. Thank you. I don't know. Anywhere I can get it, any way I can get it. All right. So yeah, for problem number 4 up there, if we could get one table to respond to that.
Caught us in mid-discussion still, but I think more housing, permanent supportive housing with the increased amount of caseworker support that comes in. We were talking a little bit about SROs, single room occupancy units that by the design and engineering, folks have common kitchens, common areas, just the community support that's built in with this particular population. And help me out, team. What else? What else do we want to highlight? Yes. What is the alternative to the emergency room where you, or the criminal justice system where you just need some time?
Hello. So where I work in Central Oregon and where I live, there is one mental health respite facility there. And an individual can go there in the middle of a crisis just to calm down for about 23 hours. And it has to be less than 24 hours. Otherwise, it'll be considered a residential facility, completely different rules. So this one place in the city I live, a lot of people come through there because there's really nothing else for them in between jail or the hospital. So more of those places would be very helpful, I feel. Yeah. Bend.
Thank you, Lonnie. Thank you. So we're going to move on, and I'm going to have Caprice come and share with us about the supportive services that are needed to make a difference in our communities. and some of the things that we're doing. And then I'm going to brag about all the things that we do at the Urban League of Portland. And I'm probably going to toot my own horn multiple times. And then I'm going to give you some stats to back it up. Okay? Come on, Caprice.
Woohoo. Did everybody like that activity? Thank you for all the solutions. They were really helpful and needed. Well, as we know, just hearing all of that, it just reminds us that we all can make a difference. And this, so, okay, next slide. Thank you. Here at the Urban League of Portland, we have a mission and we are committing ourselves to providing a lot of excellent services by becoming really equipped to serve our community on a greater capacity. The Urban League of Portland believes in being equally equipped in training opportunities to maintain streamlined levels of support and services. I am a certified bus driver. Woo-hoo. Don't get too excited. I'm very excited, but providing transportation for our participants is really helpful. And SOAR is another training that helps people that need help advocating to get on Social Security and disability. CPR first aid trained, certified recovery mentors, peer zone facilitators, community health worker certified, food handlers card, VISPADAT trained for assessments, domestic violence advocate certified. And we are continuously supporting our staff by training them with trauma-informed care, education courses, and also certified recovery mentor and health counselors. Next slide. And this is how we serve. We do regular check-ins. We assist with tenant conflicts, resident conflicts, cleaning supplies. We have a great food pantry and a resource pantry where you can get personal hygiene items, food boxes. We help residents apply for OHP, our SNAP, whatever resources they need to obtain, like medical devices, home furnishings. We have great welcome kits. So if you don't have any furniture, all you need is a backpack. And if you don't have a backpack, we might be able to get that for you. Or we can advocate to get you some resources with partnering agencies. We also assist in finding mental health resources, assist in obtaining like driver's license and IDs, transportation support, hot passes. And if you need like a caregiver, we also assist in that. A lot more that we do, finding jobs. If you need detox services, support groups, we do that. We also support in obtaining documentation and applying for that. It's a lot of different kind of documentations that you need, whether you're homeless, mental health, medical conditions, addiction, whatever it is, it's a lot of documentation needed. We have community dinners on site, doing like on-site things, fresh food Fridays, we're cooking. Let's see. Adjust screening criteria and lowering barriers access by not requiring application fees and deposits for move-in, which is a great kick. Increase income through benefits, employment support, and career coaching. We have a wonderful workforce team at the Urban League of Portland. We also aid in the communication with the property management, which really helps with the screening process, support in the independent living by providing a lot of life skills and coaching and workshops and barriers, eviction prevention, peer recovery mentorship, transportation assistance, chronic disease management, nutrition programs, community partnerships developed by the Urban League and health behavioral providers, etc. So we're doing a lot of things.
Thank you, Caprice. So that's just an overview of some of the services that we provide. Y'all, I'm not getting ready to stand up again. But I want to brag about some of the things that we've created, especially with one of our newer projects, which is the Hattie Redmond. So now we are able to We're able to offer on-site medical services. So we have networked with other agencies to bring their medical trucks, dental trucks, mammogram screening trucks, all the things. And we bring it right there on site to the participants so that they don't have to worry about leaving. They don't have to be fearful. A lot of times, I think part of the art of service through compassion is to be very realistic with people's mindset, because everybody isn't prepared to go out into the real world just yet, especially if they're coming from being chronically homeless. So we try to reach people on every level. We have also incorporated financial empowerment. So now we have these classes to teach people simple banking skills like savings and budgeting. We offer career connections. So we have a job club. With our job club, we bring our team from workforce and development right to the buildings, right to the locations. And for about 3 to 4 hours every other Thursday, people can connect. They can get resources of places that are hiring. They can sign up and enroll for programs that will train them to do the work. They can get work stipends even. It's beautiful. Another important thing that we do is, oh, y'all, I skipped. Well, we have our food pantry, which is a big deal. It's a really big deal because look, he's throwing it in reverse. Thank you. Thank you. This is my favorite because this is my baby. So a lot of times people never tell you that they're hungry. They might be homeless and they might be, without clothing and all the things, but that people oftentimes forget to say that they're starving. I was a property manager in my past life. And one of the things that bothered me the most about the people that I served was that they had a place to live, but they did not have resources to live in the place. And so food is a big deal. Clearly, I have not skipped meals, but I don't want our participants to either. I want it to be where they're able to every week, whatever they need, whether it be fresh food or meat and dairy products, whatever it is, they should be able to come down and be served without shame and embarrassment and get what they need for their household. Another thing that we've done is we've incorporated Fresh Food Fridays. So every Friday we partner with a community doctor who owns a farm. She brings fresh produce right from her gardens and her farms. And we hand that out. And then they also cook healthy meals. So we serve hot dinners. And then sometimes if I'm feeling it, then I'll cook. And sometimes our team, we will prepare meals and out of our own and give to our participants because we love the engagement. It brings people out and it helps them connect with one another. And that's the main thing to me, especially in the winter months. It's so important is that people feel a sense of belonging. So that's Fresh Food Friday. The next person that I would like to bring is our very own lead peer support specialist, and that's Kyle Hill. And Kyle is going to share about what he's done in the community for detox.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kyle Hill. How are you? So I'm the lead recovery mentor for the Urban League of Portland. And with that being said, I am the #1 person that navigates detox and treatment services through Urban League of Portland. And what I've come to find out over the last 1.5, 2 years is that fentanyl is running rampant in the city, right? They're putting fentanyl in the crack, fentanyl in the meth, and fentanyl in the fake fentanyl. Now, what kind of stuff is that, right? So what we're experiencing in the Northeast community is that for people that look like me, the same color as me, they come to detox and they're standing outside even with a referral for 2 and 3 days in a row. That's not the answer to this problem. I feel what we need in the Northeast community is a culturally specific detox center in Northeast Portland. I have a relationship with Hooper Detox. I have a relationship with For Health and Addictions, and I'm soon to have a relationship with Northwest Recovery Works, a new detox center that opened up on 122nd and Foster Road. Also, I thought I had a connection with Lifeline Connections in Vancouver. I called them up on the phone one morning after I leave Hooper and don't get my participant in. Bring them over. We got a bed for you. I get over there, go down in the basement, knock on the door, it says, we don't have a bed. How disheartening is that? And then for the participant who's ready to go right now, I'm not gonna be able to find that participant the next day because he's got a Wi-Fi phone and he's not by Wi-Fi and I can't call him. When these community members and participants want treatment or detox, they want it now. And there's not enough for them to go around in Northeast Portland or in the city of Portland altogether. Portland ranks in the top 5 in addiction nationally. Trust and believe me. And then you want to know why everybody downtown looking like they look. And they're using drugs openly on the street corners. Police aren't enforcing it. So what do as a recovery mentor? I'm there to support whoever wants to go. You can be black, brown, white, don't matter. I'll pull up a hooper, I'm writing that referral. I usually could write it the day of and get you in that day. Now I have to go there and canvass who's ever outside and then email it back in for the next day. That's not going to work. How many people do you think are going to come back the next day when they're ready to go now? The next day, Sidney Sheldon wrote a book called If Tomorrow Comes. They're not coming back tomorrow. So what can we do as an organization, as a people? Campaign, advocate, and try to get more resources so we can help the people that's in need. We do our part here at Urban League of Portland. We need other organizations to do their part as well, because this is a nationwide crisis that we're in. We need help, we need funding, and we need resources, and we need facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaya. Thank you. That was perfect. Another thing that he didn't brag on is that now we are implementing with our team of peer support specialists to go every day. He didn't tell you this. Every day he goes at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and stands outside, whether it's raining, whether it's burning hot. Well, it's not hot that early, but hot, cold, whatever it is. And he stands out there waiting to write people referrals so that they can get the help that they need. And I think that speaks volumes. And so it was something at first that wasn't as recognized as it should be. And so now we have decided as a team to move forward with having our peer support specialists all go stand in the places for as long as it takes to get people the help that they need, because that is the art of service through compassion. So we also offer with our teams peer zone recovery workshops, which are phenomenal because then we're able to recover from not only addiction, but to drugs and alcohol, but also people addictions or maybe addictions to gambling, whatever it is. It could be recovery from domestic violence. It could be recovery from several different avenues. We believe that shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces, and that's a part of the recovery process. So before I go on, I would like to have Caprice come up and give her testimony, but I wanted to also talk about one other thing that's so cool. As in our building, something that we've done, we're implementing Hattie Cash. So our participants, maybe they complain, maybe the building isn't as clean as they want it to be, or maybe we're noticing that all these beautiful flowers that we done put up are dying. Maybe the windows need washing or the carpets need vacuumed. And so we've created a store, and our participants are welcome to shop in the store with Hattie Cash. And the only way to earn Hattie Cash is to participate. So if you want to vacuum for a week, or you want to do patrols, or you want to wipe down windows and water plants, we invite our participants to do that so that they can go ahead and have access to the things. Anyway, so now we're going to hear from Caprice, and she's going to share a little bit about her testimony for 5 minutes. No rush.
This is a very beautiful space. Shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. I am a certified recovery mentor, and I have a story. I have lived experience, and I too lead the peer zone workshops. And a lot of things that I like to talk about is what happens when we're hidden in dark places. And so I found myself 2 years ago leaving a whole nother state because of domestic issues. I was truly in a very dark and a lonely place. I was really messed up. I left my comfort. So what I thought was comfortable, an addiction wasn't too comfortable. Domestic violence wasn't comfortable, but to me, that was my lifestyle. Had several mental health issues, physical health issues. The help that I needed, I was too ashamed to ask for, but it was promised to me and it wasn't given to me because my family didn't have the resources. They didn't have the support. They didn't know the skill level of how to really help me. So I found myself being in a shelter. Now, before this, I was an advocate. And so it's too long to tell the story. However, I referred a lot of my clients to shelters, thinking, hey, go ahead, this is where you can get some help. But I never ever had to live in a shelter before. So I didn't know the conditions in which I was referring my participants to. However, my son is 4, but he was 2 years old at that time. And he was in the process because of trauma of being diagnosed with autism. So he was going through extreme violent rages, kicked me in my mouth, was yelling. It was just a lot of different things going on in which that if we stayed with my grandma, she would have lost her housing because, how housing laws are. And she lived in a senior building too. Nevertheless, I experienced a lot of discrimination at the shelter. The shelter was said to be a safe place for me. It wasn't. So I thought, because I was an advocate, I understand about trauma-informed care in spaces, but that wasn't my experience. I found myself having the same experiences as my clients that they told me. Honestly, I thought they were lying. I was like, that couldn't be. We're all trauma-informed. But I found myself being discriminated against. The shelter manager told me, I'm tired of you and your son. Y'all need to hurry up and get out. Now, mind you, the shelter was only a 60-day at the minimum, 90-day at the max shelter. That is not enough time to even heal. And especially coming from another state. As we talked about evictions, we talked about money, deposits, all that kind of stuff. How does a person really get on their feet? So that's a whole nother stress. And I'll fast forward. So I want you guys to go there. When we are driving and in the grocery store, we see that person that might be on fentanyl, might be on some meth, the hybrid, whatever they find themselves on. And all you see them doing is this random scream outburst. And you're like, what is going on there? That was me. I don't look like that person, right? I didn't. But I didn't know that I was that person. I was fortunate to be in the shelter at 4:00 in the morning, screaming to the top of my lungs, crying, not knowing what to do, stuck figuring out what I need to figure out on my own. Oh yeah, not to mention, the shelter was understaffed. So they did this self-advocacy policy. So the minimum and the maximum support they can give me was, you just got a bed. You got to do everything on your own. Now, I left one state to come to another state, and my mind couldn't even fill out the paperwork. Then they're telling me, you need to do a restraining order. Did the restraining order, and the address you just gave my abuser where I'm at. So it was just a lot of the different loopholes. I felt so stuck. I felt so lost. I just cried with everything that I was going through they separated my 2 children because of my son's age. He was too old to be in a women's shelter. And so it was like, okay, everything that was recommended, I did what I did, whatever. A lot of pain, felt trapped, felt empty, felt even more broken. And all I wanted to do was use. That's all. Fortunately, I'm downtown. We all know what that looks like. And I said, no, I don't want that. I was terrified. I was terrified to even go back to my old ways because I was afraid that if I got a hold of whatever was going on the streets, that was going to be my death. But I was tormented by my reality and I needed help. Fast forwarding, I needed a hug. And nobody knew how to give me that help that I needed. So of course I'm forced to find housing, came up on this recommendation. very nice, warm voice to my right. She said, "How can I help you?" And I just cried. And I was like, "I'm being kicked out of the shelter." I'm very dramatic. But when I tell you that voice was so warm, it was exactly what I needed. Because at that time, I was discriminated. My voice was gone. I was whatever you seen me on paper. If you seen that I had borderline personality disorder with addictions, that was me. You know, you didn't see Caprice. You didn't see Caprice with a bachelor's degree. Caprice this, this, and this. All you seen was what you seen. And that was a stigma that I had to live by until that voice came. Basically, pulls strings got me housed. I was dropped in the system. However, the permanent support in her, even before she took the position, she used it to help me, which was caring, mental voice. And so I ended up getting housed. I wasn't ready to go back to work because my son is still going through what he's going through. He's nonverbal, a lot of things. Talking to her in the office, found out I used to be a resident service specialist, found out I had some little skills and ended up offering me a job months later. And I can honestly say I have the honor and the privilege to teach people how to take off shame, teach people that there is hope, to teach people to face the shame, to face the pain first, you know, because we're wearing it differently. I learned that I was wearing it mentally. I was wearing it in my emotions. I ate it. It was good. I drank it. And I was just wearing it all throughout my body. And I even learned that I didn't know how to take it off. I learned that I needed that listening ear. So going back to that person that we see that is really losing their stuff, why we just want to go to the grocery store getting off of work just to get them dinner for the kids. And we're thinking in our mind, what is going on with that person? Just think, could be me tomorrow. Or that's that person today, but tomorrow they could be housed. They can be in a better place because we don't know. Nobody's condition is permanent. And so I am a success story of a permanent housing support. Excellent wraparound services. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm evolving every day. I'm in a place of healing where I can help people gently restore, where I can help people. It's an honor to just listen to that random chatter. Yes, I've heard the story about the dog. No, I don't want to play bingo, but I will today. Sure, let's go sit down and have a sip of Miss Renetta's coffee and we can talk about it.
Magical coffee.
Magical coffee. Because that kind of stuff, that patience, that understanding, it makes a difference in somebody's life. You may not be solving their problem today, but you are. It's one day at a time because that's an unmet need. And I found myself in a time where I needed somebody to listen to me. My family had no idea as to what I was going through because I'm a church girl. I hid an addiction. I was living in an entire different state. You know, I was living my life. So, you know, I packed on the shame. And I had to learn, you know, just to find that trusted, safe place to let it go. And again, I would say I get the privilege of, as a peer support specialist, is really being that listening ear or that motivating driving force for them to go to recovery, to deal with, not just to go to recovery and come off a detox, but deal with that pain. Was it molestation? Was it abuse? What was it that got you to where you are today? Thank you.
Thank you. That's my favorite part about this whole thing, really, because it's very unscripted and I appreciate your transparency. But I think that's the thing that we all recognize is that, yes, it takes dollars and funding, but it also takes heart and the right spirit. There's no way to do this work perfectly, but we can do our best and we can give from a different pool rather than just doing just the everyday paperwork, stamp, seal, send. We can give a little bit more and be mindful of what's really needed in the moment. And it's not always just a list of resources. So now it's time to brag, but I heard laughter next door. So I'm like, hey, we got to get to the laughter. I'm gonna speed it up. We have programs. So I manage permanent supportive housing in the Urban League, and we have successful programs. All of our programs are the bomb. We have scattered site with Project Haven, that's 50 scattered site units at 100% occupancy. It might be like 98% now. Well, there's always a plot twist with permanent supportive housing. You never know. The Renaissance Commons, we successfully house 30 participants there at the Renaissance. Yep, 100% occupancy there, but I think that may be changing soon. It always does. With Umoja Timu, that's another scattered site project, and that is 30 scattered site units, all full, 100% occupancy. The Hattie Redmond successfully houses and maintains 60 households at 100% occupancy. And now we're working with Washington County. Hey. And I believe we have 40 participants there in scattered sites. And we're very excited and we're going to do much more. Let's see. I could talk about the places. They're great. You should go see them. That's all I'm going to say about that. I will say for the Hattie Redmond, because that was a project that I got to be there, not at the very, very beginning, but at the beginning, and got to see it through and got to assemble a team of people that were phenomenal to do the work. But permanent supportive housing as a whole is 24 people, and every person on my team is very committed to excellence, very committed to the work that we do, and very passionate, full of ideas. They're change makers, and I love that about them all. There is you can skip again. And then again. So we have some testimonials, but I don't know if we'll be able to play the video that I really wanted to share with you. It was a testimonial from a participant that was at the Hattie Redmond, and it's a beautiful story. It's 1 minute and 40 seconds. I don't know if we're able to do that. It's there. What? Yes. Y'all, this thing, it doesn't want to be seen, but it's so good. If it skips, though, just cut it off. Okay, while he's loading that. Okay. Lonnie's gonna share. It's all right. That's okay. He's gonna share about our Urban League demographics, and I'm so sorry that the video won't play, y'all.
So, yeah, the Urban League, over the course of several years has grown to 160 full-time employees. 100% of our executive leadership team is comprised of people of color, and 87.5% identify as women or female. And the junior leadership team is comprised of 100% people of color. Our board of directors is comprised of 80% people of color, and the agency itself, as far as staff size, has grown about 510% in the last 5 years. I personally have been at the Urban League since 2016 and can personally testify that it has grown a whole lot. Yeah, and another thing too is in addition to the lovely housing services we provide, which includes supportive housing, we also have rapid rehousing. We also do VISPADAT assessments. We have a health and seniors program. We also have workforce and education, and that's comprised of both the workforce department and the youth department. We have youth programming in that department as well. And civic engagement. Urban League is very, very involved with policy and advocacy, especially on behalf of communities of color, Black and Brown communities. You get the gist. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's almost it. I'll read to you our mission statement before we get up out of here. I hope there's food. Is there food? There's going to be a gala tonight, right? I need to know immediately. I'm starving. Okay. But I want to say some thank yous because I feel like should always give people their flowers while they're living. And so I want to shout out all of you that came today from the Urban League. Markeisha Ollison, she stepped out, I believe, but Kelly Irish is our Associate Director of Housing. We have Kyle Hill, who is the lead recovery mentor and peer support specialist. We have Tanika Woodruff, who is an assistant program manager. We have Latricia Jones, who is our resident services coordinator. Arlita White, who is a housing specialist. Renetta Pierce, a housing specialist. We have Lorenzo Kuntz, who is a peer support specialist. And we also have Christine Roby, who is a housing specialist as well. And I want to say thank y'all for showing up today because y'all do the work. I just make the demands. But y'all make the difference and you're the reason why the Urban League is so special. So I want to tell you thank you in front of everybody because I'm so proud. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, thank you to Lonnie and Caprice. Y'all are the bomb. I know this is scary. We've never presented before, so we were a little nervous, but I appreciate y'all because y'all helped me and I thank you for that. So our mission statement is this: it's to empower African Americans and others to achieve equality in education, employment, health, economic security, and quality of life. And that's all. I thank you.